Hello and welcome to Walking the Earth podcast. My name is Justin Castle.
And I'm Mike Margulies, coming at you still from Chiang Mai, Thailand. Today I am joined by Yichi. Did I say that right, or did I butcher it completely, man?
Oh, you got it.
Sweet.
Perfect.
So
Nice.
Yichi originally hails from China, currently lives in Australia, and my God, what an interesting perspective you have on the world, right?
Yeah.
I'll
Early,
let you talk about it though, man.
yeah. I just wanted to say before we started recording that Yucha had an awesome, he rapped and it was spectacular. He
That's
rapped.
true. Actually, let's just have. You want to rap?
Yeah, I'd love to
Just
rap.
go ahead and do a freestyle rap right now.
Yo, what you gonna do when you're in Chiang Mai? What you wanna do when you're on the street? What you wanna do when you don't have your wallet? When you don't have wallet, how you have pad thai? Do you think you're gonna look cool if you have a cap with an eye on it? And it also looks like when you had some water.
That was awesome.
Oh,
Yucha,
my
you're the
God,
man.
I love this.
You're the man. And again, I said this before, but I love how each word has you can hear the Chinese and you can hear the Australian in there. So
It's amazing.
yeah. So how did you? Okay, so you were born. Were you born in Australia and you moved to China? How did that work?
I was born in Xi'an, China, which
Okay.
is the home to Terracotta Army. Then I moved to Australia when I was little, but it didn't last long. I moved back just a few years ago.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Cool.
I've stayed in both countries, and my parents thought it would be harder for me to learn Chinese, so I spent more time in China.
That's cool though, because it's kind of smart, right? Because now is Mandarin. I'm assuming you were speaking. So now
Yes.
you're fluent in Mandarin and English. So, I mean, those are probably the two most important languages in the world right now.
Yeah.
So that puts you in a pretty good position to do anything, really.
Yeah. How long were you in Australia for? Just a couple years, or
Yeah, just like 3 years.
3 years? Okay.
Actually, it's an interesting story, right? Because you were telling me last night how your parents are divorced,
Yes.
right? And then your mom moved to Australia.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, and I guess this was like a decision you made. You were living with your dad, and then you said, "Actually, Dad, I want to move to Australia."
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting. And your dad, how did he take that? You know?
Yeah, it's very interesting because as you guys might know, in Asia there is a culture, the favorism of boys,
Yeah.
and in China there is the one-child policy for all Han Chinese, and in some areas they made the policy they treat girls the same as handicapped kids.
What?
Because
Whoa.
it's so unfair. When if your first kid is disabled, you can have a second kid. And in some areas in China, because of the local culture, the rules are like if your first kid is a girl, you can have a second kid.
Whoa.
Oh wow.
Wait.
So yeah,
And that's
Well, so they're saying like, oh, we feel so bad for you that you end up with a girl. You can have now you can have another kid. That's
wow.
wow.
I can't believe. Wait, so what dictates that? Is it the local government, or is it, or what? Is it just the community, or what decides that they're allowed to have multiple kids? Is it?
it's the local government. The central government legislate some laws, and then the local governments make, you know, like it's not a federation, it's a republic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds kind of like the U.S., right, where we've got the federal government of the U.S. that has the laws that apply to everyone, but then you've got individual states that also make their own local laws.
Yeah.
So in China, something similar.
Like the central government says we should implement, like we should help people to plan their families, and then local governments make their own rules to implement it. And in some areas in southeast China, they they made that rule that
Yeah.
you can't have a second kid if the first kid is a girl.
It's
Wow.
funny to me that like so it's okay. It's nice that they this area is allowing people to have more than one kid and not. I mean, I know in a lot of China they actually some people killed their kid, right? Or
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it's a
Wow.
daughter because they can only have one.
Yeah.
So I guess from one angle it's nice that people don't have to kill their daughter, but the rationale is interesting because it's like it's not out of
Yeah.
the reason they're doing it is not because of a human rights thing or anything. It's because, oh, you had a handicapped kid, aka a girl, so you get another chance, and that's
Yeah, that's just
wow.
that's a weird that's a weird mentality, to have, that one person's not considered good enough to be a person, oh, let me try again. It's just weird. It's just odd hearing it come from your mouth.
Yeah,
We don't see that every day.
in that area, like a lot of people have family business, and they want their family business to pass to the son. So,
Wow. So I guess, needless to say, the move to Australia was a big culture shock for you.
yeah, it was a big culture shock. So because of the culture, my dad, it took him and his family a few weeks to accept the fact that I want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a big culture shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was your dad gonna not let you go to Australia at any point?
He was saying he didn't say anything. He was just behaving really like I was getting my visa and I needed documents. He was
Right.
really slow and passive at the beginning. Wasn't doing anything,
Right. So,
and
sorry, go ahead.
and I was pretty rebellious at the time. So I didn't talk to him or anything because we didn't talk much at the time. So I just walked off and I didn't go to school one day. And then
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Wow.
didn't go to school maybe 2 days, and then he found me. Then we had a chat, and then he started doing the things
Wow.
for
So
the visa.
okay, I got you. So then your mom is the one who was in Australia. Is that correct?
Yes, yes,
Is she still there?
yes. She's currently traveling the world with her husband.
Oh, that's cool.
It-
It's
Is that what inspired you to go on your trip today, or what brought you on your trip and ultimately to Thailand?
The thing that brought me to this trip is, in China literally means the Middle Kingdom. It's the mentality that many Chinese have, that China is the center of the world, because
Americans have that mentality too. That America's center of the world.
about 1,000 years ago, China was the strongest nation in the world, and the people like they didn't travel, you know. About 200 years ago, there was the government funded people to study in the States, but many people didn't want to go because they thought the States is like uncivilized.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so in China, I take it a lot of people don't leave China. It seems. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's accurate, and also on the other hand is because people are not that wealthy.
It's I guess in my mind is just drawing all these parallels between China and the United States, where both countries are these places that believe they are the center of the world.
Right.
It seems, and also just like you're saying, a lot of Chinese don't leave China. A lot of Americans never leave the U.S. There's some I forgot what the exact numbers are, but I think most Americans don't even have a passport. And it's this interesting mentality where you have these two very large superpowers with the citizens who believe that their country is the best and it's the center of the world, and they've never left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did they start to when did people start traveling? You started to say, oh, a few years back. Is this like within the past, 20, 30 years, 50 years? Like when did people start traveling again?
In China.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say after the open door policy, because before the open door policy,
Wait,
it's really
people might not
like-
know about the open door policy. So actually,
Oh, okay. So the communist revolution, like, occupied or they won the war against the government back. It was 1949, and Mao was in power. And Mao had a lot of really tough policies, like what we see North Korea is doing today.
Uh-huh.
And it lasted till we had Cultural Revolution and all those sort of crazy things until 1976 when Mao passed away and Deng Xiaoping was in power. In early 1980s or 1979, just around that time, there a economic reform area was formed just north of Hong Kong, and that leads to the economic reform and is known as the open door policy, which is like changing the rules, making the market freer, and
Okay.
letting the capitalists,
yeah.
you know.
So before, were people not allowed to leave the country, and now they're allowed to?
Yeah, you can say that.
Is that what the open door policy did?
Yeah, before the open door policy, it was really tough control on everyone.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Wow.
I didn't realize that. So now with all these changes, you know, you're here today. You've made it out to Thailand, which is pretty awesome. And
Yeah, and actually on that topic, sorry, go ahead, Castle.
no, I'm good.
I was gonna say this is actually his your first time not in China or Australia, right?
Yes.
Being in Thailand. So now you just got here yesterday.
Yes.
So yeah, now you're out of a home country and by yourself for the first time, and that's another like wow, whole other culture shock experience.
Yeah.
I was also inspired by the Australians I've met. A lot of them have traveled a lot of countries. They've been backpacking and stuff. Yeah, I'd say the Australians I met made me want to backpack and travel.
Yeah, there's a lot of Australian backpackers.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Yeah, it's nice. I think you know living somewhere where I guess for me it would be cool to be in an environment where it's accepted and not only accepted but encouraged to go backpacking. Coming from the U.S., it's a lot less common, and so when I left the country to go backpacking, basically all my family, all my friends, not all, but many of and most of my family, my peers, and were kind of just like scratching their heads, like, "Wait, what are you doing?" And it just
Yeah.
is such a foreign concept to people from the States. Whereas if you're in Australia or England or many other countries, it's no one's gonna look at you weird. They're gonna say, "Oh, cool, you're doing your gap year, you're doing your whatever," or, and they don't
What is-
they don't look at you weird.
Well, what is, you know, so you're going on this trip. Is this just for, was it inspired by like self-exploration, or is it just to explore the rest of the world? Did you have a break in studies or?
I'm not having a break in my studies. I'm just traveling in my summer break, and I think
Yeah, it's summer right now in
yeah,
Australia,
yeah.
but if for people who are
Yeah.
we're used to it being winter right now, but
I feel like self-exploration is something that happens every day. You're a different person the next second. You know, you're a different person just every second later. And I'd love to explore the culture in Thailand, and I'd love to see different things. And also, I must say, I'm heavily influenced by my father because he was a tourist guide, and now he runs a travel business.
oh,
Oh,
He
okay.
mainly sends people to Tibet, India, Bhutan, and Nepal.
oh, sweet.
Oh, cool. So,
So it's interesting because you said your dad was not thrilled at the idea of you leaving. He's in the travel business, yet he still took kind of an objection to you leaving. I don't know. Thoughts on that? Is that it seems strikes me as odd that someone who's in the travel business would still not be supportive of you wanting to travel.
Yeah, but because I wasn't just going to travel in Australia, I was going to move and live there, and I wasn't I haven't reached my adulthood yet, so he had to sign a paper saying he's transferring the custody to my mom.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So he had to actually if he didn't approve it, you wouldn't have been able to go.
No.
Oh, so you had to get his
Wow.
Yeah.
actual written approval. Wow. Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, like, because my dad didn't want to move to Australia and live there, that contributed to the divorce of my dad and my mom.
Oh.
Yeah.
So she wanted to move to Australia, but he didn't want to. He didn't want to move.
No, he didn't.
Okay. So what was driving her to move to Australia?
I guess in Australia the society is fairer, and it's because it's more developed. It's a society. The gap between the rich and poor is narrow compared to China, and in China, yeah,
More opportunity in Australia to make your way, I guess.
I'd say it's in Australia. Even if you are unlucky, like the support system is really good.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
I got you.
Yeah. My dad just thought because his English wasn't good, and he thought if he moved to Australia, maybe he could only do like jobs, like driving a taxi or something, and he thought he wouldn't be able to realize his dream as he could in China.
Right.
So,
Which is
you know
running
what
his
I'm
business.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be much more difficult, to go to a country where you don't speak the language and try to get a business going. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really difficult. So I can understand that.
Where do you hope to end up? Like, how much more school do you have, and then do you want to live in Australia the rest of your life, or are you hoping to keep traveling or live elsewhere?
I'm still in the process of exploring it.
Good answer.
Yeah, well,
That's what a lot of travelers are gonna say, I think, right? Because like you said, you're here. It's all there's a self exploration that happens every day. And when you're traveling, it's interesting to me that you're only on day 2 of your travel, and it seems like you're like already on this you've already kind of figured out this thing. Okay, I'm exploring myself, exploring things, and I don't know. I think that's really cool because I know for me it took a long time to be comfortable with having a life that was so open ended. It took me a lot of travel before I was able to just take this leap and just have an open ended trip. But you just went ahead and you did it, having never left a home. Well, you left China and went to Australia, so that's a big enough move maybe to prepare you for the world. Say, okay, I did that. I can do anything now.
Yeah.
No, I think that's badass though, man.
definitely. So you're going on this trip right now, and actually, you were supposed to have, as of this morning, purchased a bike. Did you wind up doing that?
No, I didn't. I didn't get up early enough, but I will do it in the afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can tell us about that. Actually, you're gonna take your bike around Thailand.
Yeah. I before I came to Thailand, I was thinking of getting a bike in Chiang Mai and then ride to Kuala Lumpur or Bangkok or Phuket. And yesterday I hired a bike and I was testing out my plans, seeing how things, checking out the traffic and see if I'll be able to do it. And then I ended up in a town like an hour and a half outside of Chiang Mai where no one spoke English. and I thought it was terrific. So I'm going to do it.
Nice. So how are you able to get by? I'm assuming you don't speak Thai, right? Or do you?
No, I don't.
So if they don't speak English and they don't speak Mandarin, how are you able to get by?
I just downloaded a Thai English dictionary.
Oh, like an app?
Yes, yes.
Ah, brilliant.
And it has pronunciation and stuff.
Oh, so you're just like as you're talking, you're just looking up the words
Yeah,
and
and
asking.
Yeah, and you can just click on words and it will pronounce the word.
Can you like just write a sentence down, hit translate, and then show them the screen and say, "Hey, here's my question."
I got a phrase book.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah.
It's so funny. Like, I ask that question, and then when you say the answer, it's just so obvious. Like, okay, well, you just figure out how to say the words you need to say.
Yeah.
Like, and now I'm like, what a dumb question. How do you get by when no one speaks English? Well, you try to figure out the other language, obviously.
Right, right. And I was walking down the street actually earlier today, and it's freaking cold here. It's probably like low 20s, maybe teens
Whoa.
here in degrees Fahrenheit in Astoria, New York. And I was walking by this family, and this kid was walking backwards into me, and it was a Spanish family, and the mother says "cuidado, cuidado," like, and pulls him out of the way. So now I know that cuidado means watch out.
Caution.
Caution, watch out, little little tyke.
That's like the way that we learned our first language, right? It wasn't like looking at a phrase book. It was like, hey, you just hear the word in context and you figure out like, that's what this means.
Exactly.
But yeah, and it's funny because I think we tend to have a running theme on this show of the bicycle folks, getting a bicycle and traveling around a foreign country with a bicycle as your means of transport. Our first guest, Tom, back in episode 6, cycled from England to India.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool though because now we have as it turns out, just by pure coincidence, you're also doing a similar journey. It makes me wonder if I should go bicycling, cycling the earth.
Yeah.
And your final destination is kind of open ended.
Yeah, open-ended
That's the way to do it.
now, and I will like really test it and see how far can I travel per day, and then I will work out a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Very
you
cool.
do you have an end point when you have to get back to Australia, or is that's also open ended?
I got a month.
A month. Okay.
Okay.
So you have some time to trek around and explore. Yeah. Very nice.
I've come across a lot of Australians that come through New York with giant backpacks on their back, and right now it seems like it's a lot in the winter time here. Do you find that it's very common that Australians are traveling during their summer break internationally? Is it a very common thing?
Yeah, I'd say it's a very common thing.
Yeah.
Mo-
And I can tell you just also from backpacking, you meet more Australians maybe than anything else. Australians are everywhere.
Yeah. Do you still have a lot of friends back in China that you're in touch with?
Yes, I do.
What do they think about your traveling?
Some of my friends, they really like the idea. However, some didn't. Or just being neutral. But I'd say I think a reason behind it is the media. The media can just change the way people think.
Yes.
I'd say I'd like to talk about my uncle. He's really wealthy. However, he hasn't left China yet. He hasn't been to any other countries. And he said to me, like, you can't go to Thailand, you can't go to Vietnam, you can't go to Japan, because he watches TV every day and he just saw like places having civil unrests, wars, or like tensions, and he also reckons that you shouldn't travel to the States because he sees so many shootings and also all sorts of crimes in the States.
Oh wow.
That is, I love that you're saying all this stuff because this
Wow.
is like another parallel I'm drawing between what you're saying China's like and what the U.S. is like. It's so similar, same but different, right? Yeah, a lot of my American friends and family are freaked out, and I keep having friends and family say, "Oh, they're so worried because Thailand's right now, they're having this government protesting, and everyone's freaked out. Like, oh, it's so dangerous. Are you sure you're safe in Thailand?"
Right.
And it's like you said, it's the media. The media is playing this thing up. That right now where we are, I don't feel in danger in Chiang Mai. I mean, even in Bangkok, if you're not walking into where the protests are, and as a foreigner, I'm not the target anyway. But I don't feel in danger. However, my friends and family back home, they just see the media portraying like, oh, there's all this things going on.
Right.
Meanwhile, everyone back home is worried about how dangerous Thailand is. And just, what was it, 2 days ago, there was another shooting in the U.S., very close to where I grew up in the Columbia Mall. Did you hear about this one?
I
Axel?
actually didn't hear about it at all.
You didn't hear about this?
No, I'm like in a bubble here.
Yeah, so there was a shooting in the Columbia Mall just a couple of days ago. 3 people died.
Oh, I didn't hear this at all.
Yeah, man. This is like what 20 minutes from where we grew up,
Yeah,
or something like that.
Not even.
It's just like at home, and to me, I think the thing people fear is the unknown more than anything else, right?
Yeah.
I was in more danger when I was working my job and commuting to work, half an hour there, half an hour back. I was working in an oil refinery where we take explosive materials and we put them under high pressure and high temperature. And every day I'm walking around in this highly volatile environment. That was way more dangerous than just being in Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Yeah.
Yet, to quote the Joker, I always go to Batman references. No one freaks out when it's all part of the plan. If I'm commuting to work, I'm working in an oil refinery, but I'm working and I'm commuting. That's what you're supposed to do. That's part of the plan. Are there risks to commuting? Yeah, but you have to commute. Are there risks to working in a refinery? Yeah, but you have to have a job. Yet I'm here, and it's that unknown, and it's not part of the plan to leave and go backpacking, and that makes people say, "Oh shit, it's so dangerous in Thailand. I saw all these things in the news."
I agree because I've only experienced the perception of being within the country. And I think the perception is, oh shit, Mike or somebody is traveling outside of the US or traveling outside of China. All I saw is that there's embassies, in different places that are getting attacked, and that there's, holding US or other people hostage. And you hear about those types of things going on. And that's the first thing that you think about when you think about a certain country is, the last time I heard about that country, this happened. And I think it just goes with natural, survival skills or just human nature. You remember the last experience you have with a certain thing. Anytime you taste or smell cookies, your mouth waters, okay? Anytime you hear, if you're a dog and you hear the dinner bell, you know it's dinner. Or
Pavlov's dog.
Pavlov's dog. Exactly.
We are little Pavlov's dogs, aren't we?
Right. If I hear about a country like Syria and oh shit, somebody's traveling to Syria, I don't think, right now it might not be great to go there. But if you go someplace like Iran, all you hear about is bad things on the media. And and we talked to Tom, who actually traveled there, and said there were excellent, very friendly people in Iran. And you, who are coming from China, you're hearing the same thing. So
about the U.S. It's really interesting to hear you say that.
Yeah.
To Chinese eyes, the U.S. is this really dangerous place, and to be fair enough, it is just as dangerous as as anywhere else would be. Actually, can you talk more about what is the Chinese perception of the U.S.?
Well, I think the Chinese perception of the U.S. Is a lot of people hate the U.S. because as the to say it frankly, the dream of the Chinese government is to become the superpower, and
Dream of the American government too.
and make the states produce all the stuff for China.
Made in America.
Yeah.
Get all your stuff made in America.
Yeah. I'd say that's the dream of the Chinese government.
Wow.
And for Chinese people, it's really complicated because on one hand, the Chinese people, they wanted to be strong, they wanted to be wealthy, and they want to be freer. But on the other hand, they want to unite to make China stronger. But on the other hand, like a lot of people, the wealthy people, a lot of them send their kids to the States or Western countries to let them go to unis there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is,
Well, I mean,
isn't that a contradiction?
it's-
Isn't that them contradicting themselves?
Yeah.
maybe, but the thing is, I don't know. I'm looking at it like this: that if you're gonna make your country a world power,
yes,
you have
yes.
to know about the world. So
Right.
inevitably, if you
Yeah.
want to make your country a force, you have to send your kids away to other countries. And then, ironically, what ends up happening is when you do that, then they see the other countries and say, "Oh, wait, maybe that was not the right philosophy. Maybe the world isn't about." That's my take on it, at least. So you send people away to learn about the world, so they can come back and make your country better. But while they're away looking at the world, they say, "Well, there's a lot going on in the world that's actually cool. Maybe I don't want to take them over or whatever."
Yeah, but I find that interesting because I see, where I went to school, a lot of international students. And I'd say a majority of the students that I interacted with that are from other countries went back to those countries. I know a guy from Brazil. He's working in Brazil in his family's company. Another guy from China went back to China. That I've numerous other friends that did the same type of thing, and it just makes you
Yeah, we
wonder,
go back to our source.
yeah, why?
We tend to go back to the source.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, what do you think about that? Do you think you yourself, you're going to Australia to learn, and now you're traveling the world to learn more. I see it as a very beneficial thing, but like, I can't believe that people are still. I mean, it sounds like there's a negative connotation of the United States. There's a negative feeling behind it from the people there. Do you think is the government also putting a spin on things as well, or is it just general people's feelings? I mean, I don't know, just your thoughts, your opinion.
Yeah, I'd say maybe like the government media, sometimes they will focus more on the negative news of the states. However, on the other hand, because now as the internet, it becomes part of everyday lives, and the Sina Weibo, which is the Chinese version of Twitter.
What is it called?
Weibo.
Weibo. Wait, so do you have Twitter in China, or is it
No,
like banned?
It's banned. You can
Wow.
only access it via a VPN.
Right.
Or,
You have to be getting into a computer and someone.
Okay.
And Facebook,
like
is
a
that also
proxy.
banned?
Yeah, it's also banned.
No Facebook, no Twitter. Government
Wow.
banned.
Huh.
You can pay for VPNs and use them, but it's
Wow.
only for some people. Yeah, I'd say that it's a thing that people don't trust the government anymore. Even the government is telling the truth, and people turn to the other extreme, which is rumors and lies. Say on Weibo, I come across a lot of them every day, like articles saying all the good things about the states. And I'd say many of them are false, but people believe in them
A vision.
because and they think America is great. It's just coming from one extreme to the other.
Right.
And I must say it is fueled by the fact that many people haven't traveled to the
Yeah.
States or other countries, so it's easy to manipulate their thoughts.
Yeah, and I think I
Yeah.
think in general, it's really easy for people to bucket things as good or bad. So a lot of times it's either the U.S. is the best country in the world or the U.S. is terrible. Same thing with say China, any country really, right? And people tend to bucket it, but in reality, I feel like every place has its good and has its bad. The United States absolutely included, because there are there are some major problems I see with the United States culture and etc. But there's also some really amazing and wonderful things about the United States, and it's also, I mean, it's always it's my source, right? So it's always the home for me ultimately, and I think it's easy to paint a picture of a place as either 100% good, 100% bad, but I look at it as no, every place has good and bad, and to me, the United States, overall, we have a lot of things right, but we don't have everything right. And I think we just want to keep improving. And I think we just want to keep making things as good as we can.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd like to see for the United States is let's just keep building and let's keep the good things that we have going, and let's keep working on and improving the other things.
Yeah, I think it's funny what you said about positive and negative spins of media, because when I hear about China, what do I hear? I'll tell you what I hear on the radio, and it's usually about government bans, things that they're banning, okay, persecution, or I don't know about persecution of people that are doing
Child labor, that kind of thing.
child labor, people being persecuted for free speech, and the money system, and it's the money system. How they're artificially holding down the yen, and that's what you hear on. That's what you hear here. If you were to come here and listen to the radio, that's exactly what you'd hear. So it's interesting. But like, is it change? Like, are things changing? Like, how do you feel about companies like Apple coming into China and saying, "Hey, here's a iPhone 5C," which I hear. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel it's just a company, international business expanding itself and promoting their product.
Right.
It's just a product, and
Right.
Apple wants people to buy it.
Yeah. I mean, really, why do we even draw this distinction? Like, is this an American company? It's a Chinese company. I mean, I think, I don't know, in my
Just as a company.
idealistic vision of the future, we have some place where these imaginary lines we draw on the planet, stop mattering as much. It's just, I don't know, I find it weird that, if you look at planet Earth from the moon, there's no lines, there's no borders. But we have constructed this world where we draw a map and it always has these lines on it. And if you want to leave the planet Earth, go from one area inside of one imaginary line and go to another imaginary line, you have to get a piece of paper that says from this time period, when the Earth is between this rotation of the sun to that part of the rotation of the sun, from this date to that date, you're allowed to be in this imaginary line because this piece of paper says so. And if you really break it down to what it is, that's what you're saying. What is a visa? It says I can be in Thailand for 30 days from January to February 4th or whatever. It's saying I am allowed to leave this imaginary line on the planet Earth, go on this imaginary line when the Earth's between this phase and that phase of the sun.
Wow.
And it's a weird.
Your reactions are the best. Your reactions are the best.
It's just. It doesn't make any sense. It's what? It's like this. We're like territorial dogs or something, guarding our little piece of this land.
We are.
I sound like a total like John Lennon hippie, Imagine there's no countries.
Wait,
I don't know.
you're not?
You may say
You're
I'm a
not?
dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
I don't know.
You're not the only one.
Oh, thank you. I'm joined by Yichi.
You're the man. You are the man. I don't care. I'm glad we had the opportunity to talk to you. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But I guess we're getting close to the end. Is there anything else you wanted to chat about, Yichi?
Yeah, I'd like to chat about. I really enjoy talking with you guys. And
Oh.
I think
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
it's been great.
We've really enjoyed talking to you. I think you have brought a very unique perspective
Definitely.
to this show. You come from a very unique background. And you have that advantage of seeing things from so many different worldviews, which is awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciate. Yeah, it's been really interesting hearing your point of views, and I wish you good luck with school in Australia and everything, and your family. And I hope to hear more about you and your travels when you're done graduating. I hope you travel the world and we get to interview you again.
That'd be awesome.
So, but Yusha, we wanted to ask you, kind of like a wrap-up question. There's no right answer. Just the first thing that comes to your mind. What is one thing that you want to do before you die?
One thing I want to do before I die.
Yes, and it could be anything.
Not even necessarily the thing, but any one thing.
Yeah.
I'd like to travel the world.
Boom.
Nice.
Well, what a fitting answer for Walking the Earth podcast.
Awesome. You can be a remote reporter from different countries. We'll call into you, and then we'll get your report.
Yeah, that'd be badass.
Can we get a goodbye rap? Can we get that?
Oh. One more rap?
Okay.
Encore.
A goodbye rap. Yeah. Anyway.
Uncle! We are now at the end of our show. And what we're gonna do from today to do next? We're going to keep our journey, letting it go. We're going to walk in the air, walk on the earth. You're going to the country where you can't use adapter, where you have to use local converter. When you lose your wallet and you can't find an ATM. When you have a wheat VB and then have a coffee. When you put coconuts in your coffee and you gotta have earplugs when you travel, when you sleep in a train station.
Did this happen to you? Did that happen to you? Is that a story of what happened to you?
Yeah, actually, and part of it, you can't, I don't know if, well, the listeners can't see this, but he grabbed an adapter, actually. And
Yeah.
This is all inspired by things in the room, I guess things that happened to you.
It sounds so basically you got stuck in a train station and you had to put earplugs on and go to sleep and you couldn't find an ATM. Is that based on a true story?
It's not based on the true story, but I heard people coming into that situation, and also I imagine in the future I would be in those situations, so I'm pretty prepared to be fucked up.
It's awesome that you're like, that's a good attitude to have, actually. It's like, you have to go into this kind of travel knowing some weird fucked up shit's gonna happen,
Yeah.
and just be okay with that. Like, okay, something's gonna happen, cool, that's part of the journey. Right?
Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you guys for tuning in. Yusha, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you again.
And I wish you guys good luck on your journeys. This is Justin Castle signing off from Walking the Earth podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.